The anesthesia mask hovers inches from my face, and I can taste the metallic fear in my mouth as the surgeon's voice echoes through the operating room. Count backwards from 10, Emily. But I'm not counting. I'm staring at the empty chair beside my hospital bed, where my parents should be sitting, holding my hand, telling me everything's going to be okay. 10, 9, 8. The last thing I see before the darkness takes me is my phone screen lighting up with a notification. It's an Instagram story from my sister Sarah's 21st birthday party. There's Mum, laughing hysterically as she helps Sarah blow out candles on a 3-tier cake that probably costs more than the surgery I'm about to have. Dad's in the background, raising a champagne glass worth more than most people's weekly salary. 7, 6, 5. Emily will understand. I remember Mum whispering into the phone this morning, "The surgery is routine anyway." Routine. That's what they called the procedure to remove what could be a cancerous tumour from my abdomen. As the anaesthesia pulls me under, I realise this might be the last thing I ever see, my family celebrating without me while I'm potentially dying alone. But here's the thing about near-death experiences. They don't just change you, they rebirth you entirely. When I wake up 6 hours later, my throat feels like sandpaper and my abdomen is on fire with surgical pain. But I'm alive. The recovery room is dimly lit, and the only sound is the steady beeping of monitors attached to my body. The first thing I do is reach for my phone with shaking hands, hoping against hope that maybe they cut the party short. Maybe they're sitting in the waiting room worried sick about me. Instead, I find 47 new posts from Sarah's party. 47 moments of pure joy and celebration while I was unconscious on an operating table, not knowing if I'd ever wake up again. My hands are trembling as I scroll through each photo, each video, each story that shows my entire family having the time of their lives. The nurse notices me crying and thinks it's from the pain medication. She's a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and gentle hands, more maternal in 5 minutes than my mother has been in 21 years. "Sweetie, are you okay? Do you need me to call your family? They must be so worried about you." I almost laugh, but it comes out as a sob. "They're busy," I whisper, my voice hoarse from the breathing tube. "Very, very busy." That's when I see it, the photo that doesn't just break my heart, it incinerates it completely. It's Sarah, surrounded by shopping bags from Tiffany, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Chanel. She's posing with jewellery that could pay for a house, holding designer purses that cost more than most people's cars. The caption reads, "Mum and Dad surprised me with early birthday gifts before dinner. Best parents ever. Money can't buy happiness, but it sure can buy everything else." The timestamp shows it was posted 30 minutes ago, 30 minutes after my surgery ended. While I was waking up alone, scared and in pain, they were still shopping for her like it was Christmas morning. I scroll through the comments, and each one is another knife in my chest. There's my aunt commenting, "Where's Emily? Shouldn't she be celebrating with you?" And my mother's response makes me want to scream. "Emily had a small medical procedure today, but she's completely fine. Nothing could keep us from our princess's special day. She totally understands. That's just how mature and selfless our Emily is." Small medical procedure, completely fine. She totally understands. I've never felt rage like this before. It starts in my chest like a small flame and spreads through my entire body like wildfire, burning everything in its path. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely hold my phone. But then something interesting happens. The rage doesn't consume me. Instead, it transforms into something else. Something colder. Something infinitely more dangerous. Something calculating. You see, I've always been the smart one in the family. While Sarah was getting weekly spa treatments and shopping sprees that cost more than most people's monthly salaries, I was getting straight A's and full scholarships. While she was partying through high school with a different luxury car for each day of the week, I was studying business, finance, and computer science. While she was spending Daddy's money on designer everything, I was learning exactly how Daddy makes that money. And now, lying in this hospital bed, watching my family celebrate without me like I don't even exist, I realize I know something they don't think I know. Something that could burn their perfect little world to the ground. My father, Richard Morrison, owns Morrison Luxury Motors, a chain of high-end car dealerships across 3 states. To everyone else, he's a successful businessman who worked his way up from nothing. But what my parents don't know is that I've been doing their books for the past 2 years. Not officially, they think I'm just helping out with some data entry during summer breaks to build character while they pay me minimum wage for work that should cost them thousands. But I have access to everything. Every account, every transaction, every shady deal that keeps our family living in that $8 million mansion, while I work 3 part-time jobs to pay for my own college tuition because it builds character. I know about the money he's been systematically moving to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. I know about the elaborate tax evasion schemes he's been running for 7 years. I know about the fraudulent loans he's been taking against the business to fund Sarah's ridiculous lifestyle, the same loans that are technically illegal because he's been falsifying the business's revenue reports. Most importantly, I know about the massive investment fraud scheme he's been running with his business partner, David Chen. They've been selling fake investment opportunities to wealthy clients, promising returns on luxury car investments that don't exist. They've stolen over $2 million in the past 3 years alone. The same David Chen whose daughter Amy was in my business ethics class last semester. Amy, who has no idea that her father is a criminal. Amy, who complained constantly about how her parents never gave her enough money for shopping, not knowing that her father was literally stealing millions from innocent people. I pull out my laptop, the same cheap second-hand laptop I bought with my own money, because my parents said I didn't need a new one when Sarah got her 3rd MacBook Pro that year. My fingers fly across the keyboard as I start typing. Not an angry rant or a tearful goodbye letter. No, I'm drafting something much more powerful. A detailed financial forensics report that outlines every single illegal transaction my father has made in the past 5 years. Every forged document, every hidden account, every fraudulent investment scheme, every stolen dollar, every lie told to the IRS. I have it all, documented with screenshots, account numbers, dates, and times. I've been unconsciously building a case against him for 2 years, thinking I was just being thorough with the bookkeeping. But I'm not sending it to the authorities. Not yet. That would be too quick, too merciful. I want them to suffer the way they've made me suffer, slowly, systematically, and with the growing realization that their perfect life is crumbling around them. 4 hours later, my parents finally show up. Mum's still wearing her party dress, a designer gown that cost more than most people's cars. Dad has confetti in his hair, and the satisfied smile of a man who just spent $20,000 on his favourite daughter without blinking an eye. They're carrying flowers from the hospital gift shop, the cheapest bouquet they sell, still with the $12.99 price tag attached. The same people who just bought Sarah a $50,000 diamond necklace brought me a $12 bouquet. "Oh, sweetie, how are you feeling?" Mum asks, her voice dripping with false concern, as she barely glances at my pale, exhausted face. "We got here as soon as we could after wrapping everything up." "As soon as you could?" I repeat, my voice surprisingly steady despite the fury burning in my chest. The surgery ended 4 hours ago. Dad shifts uncomfortably, loosening his designer tie. "Well, we had to properly finish Sarah's celebration first. You know how important tonight was for her. She only turns 21 once, and we've been planning this party for months." "More important than your daughter's potentially life-threatening surgery?" "Emily, don't be so dramatic," Mum sighs, checking her reflection in her phone camera. The doctor said everything went perfectly fine. You're being released tomorrow morning. See? No big deal. No big deal, I repeat quietly. My surgery was no big deal. Exactly. And look, we brought you flowers. Dad holds up the pathetic bouquet, like he's presenting me with the crown jewels. We would have gotten you something nicer, but the gift shop was almost closed. I smile at them. It's the same smile I've been giving them my entire life. The understanding, forgiving smile of the daughter who always puts everyone else first, who never complains, who always makes it easy for them to ignore her. But this time, it means something completely different. You're absolutely right, Dad. I'm being way too dramatic. The surgery went perfectly, and I'm so incredibly glad Sarah had such a wonderful birthday. I wouldn't want anything to ruin her special day. She deserves all the happiness in the world. They both visibly relax, probably thinking I'm back to my usual doormat behaviour. Dad even pats my hand condescendingly, like I'm a good dog who's learned to sit. That's our Emily, always so mature and understanding. You're such a good sister, never making things about yourself. The absolute best, Mum agrees, already scrolling through photos on her phone. Sarah got the most gorgeous diamond earrings tonight. Wait until you see them. They're bigger than golf balls. After they leave 20 minutes later, promising to pick me up tomorrow morning, but already making excuses about how they might be late, because Sarah wants to go shopping for more birthday outfits, I open my laptop again. This time, I'm not just documenting their crimes, I'm planning their complete and total destruction. I start with something small, but effective. Did you know that if you have someone's social security number, date of birth, and access to their email accounts, you can report their credit cards as stolen? I learned that in my cybersecurity class. It's a felony to do it maliciously, but it's perfectly legal if you're genuinely protecting them from fraud. And technically, I am protecting them from themselves. By 2 a.m, I've successfully frozen all 8 of their credit cards and both business accounts. The automated fraud protection system is so helpful. It even sends confirmation emails to their accounts, which I promptly delete before they can see them. They won't discover what happened until they try to use their cards tomorrow. But that's just tonight's entertainment. Tomorrow, while they're probably sleeping off their champagne hangovers and dreaming about Sarah's next shopping spree, I'm going to start phase 2 of my plan. Because they think they know me. The quiet, studious daughter who always forgives and forgets, who never causes problems, who disappears into the background so they can focus on their precious golden child. But they're about to learn that still, waters don't just run deep. Sometimes they run deep enough to drown in. As I drift off to sleep in my hospital bed, listening to the steady beep of machines that cared more about keeping me alive tonight than my own parents did, I can't help but smile. They left me dying alone for her birthday party. But after my rebirth in this sterile room, I'm going to make sure they can't even afford to buy her a single birthday candle next year. This is just the first night of the rest of their lives. And trust me, it's going to be a very long, very expensive nightmare. The forgotten daughter is about to become unforgettable. The next morning arrives with the sound of my phone buzzing frantically. It's 7:30 a.m, and I have 12 missed calls from my father. I let it ring 3 more times before answering, making sure my voice sounds groggy and weak. Hello? Emily, thank God you're awake. Listen, I'm having some issues with my cards this morning. Did you notice anything strange when you were helping with the books last week? I stretched dramatically, letting out a small wince for effect. Dad, I just had surgery yesterday. I'm barely conscious. What kind of strange things? My credit cards aren't working. None of them. The bank says there's a fraud alert, but I never reported anything stolen. Your mother's cards are down too, and even the business accounts are frozen. That's so weird, I say, injecting just the right amount of concern into my voice. Maybe someone hacked your accounts. I read about that happening to people all the time now. Identity theft is like everywhere these days. Yeah, maybe this is just the timing is terrible. Sarah wants to go shopping for more birthday outfits today, and now I can't access any of our accounts. Of course, that's his primary concern. Not my recovery, not the potential security breach, Sarah's shopping plans. Maybe you should go to the bank in person. They usually can fix these things faster face to face. Good idea. Are you ready for us to pick you up from the hospital? I pause, letting the silence stretch just long enough to make him uncomfortable. Actually, the nurse said I might need to stay another few hours for observation. My incision isn't healing as fast as they expected, and they want to monitor me for infection. I can practically hear him calculating whether this will interfere with Sarah's plans. Well, if the doctors think it's necessary. Are you sure you're okay, though? I'm fine, Dad. Don't worry about me. I'm sure you have much more important things to do today. Well, Sarah did make appointments at 3 different boutiques, and they're only holding her dress selections until noon. Then you should definitely go handle that. I'll just take an Uber home when they release me. After he hangs up, I'm practically glowing with satisfaction. Phase 1 is working perfectly, but this is just the appetizer. The main course requires a much more personal touch, and I know exactly who to call. I dial Amy Chen, David's daughter from my business ethics class. We weren't close friends, but we'd worked on a project together about corporate fraud. Oh, the delicious irony of that now. Emily? Hey, girl, how are you? I heard through the grapevine that you had some kind of medical procedure yesterday. Amy, hi. Yeah, I'm okay. Minor surgery, nothing too serious. Listen, I know this might sound completely random, but I need to ask you something about your dad's business partnership with my father. There's a pause, and I can hear her shifting uncomfortably. What about it? They've been partners for 5 years now? I've been helping with some bookkeeping during my summer breaks. You know, just basic data entry stuff to earn some spending money. But I found some irregularities in the accounts. I'm probably just confused because of the pain medication they have me on, but some of the investment portfolios don't seem to add up properly. What do you mean they don't add up? I lower my voice conspiratorially. Amy, I think there might be some serious problems with the business. Has your dad been acting strange lately? More stressed than usual? Actually, yeah. He's been incredibly tense for the past few months. He keeps getting these phone calls that make him go white as a sheet, and he's been working until 2 a.m. every night. Mum's been really worried about him. Perfect. His guilty conscience is already eating him alive. Amy, I found documentation of what looks like fake investment portfolios, multiple accounts with fabricated returns, money being moved between accounts that shouldn't exist. If I'm right about what I think I'm seeing, both our dads could be in serious legal trouble. What are you talking about? My dad would never do anything illegal. He's the most honest person I know. I thought the same thing about mine, but Amy, I have bank transfers, forged documents, falsified client statements, everything. Look, I care about you as a friend, and I don't want your family to get completely destroyed by this. What if we could somehow fix the situation before anyone else discovers what's been happening? The silence stretches so long, I think the call has dropped. Finally, she whispers, "What kind of proof are you talking about?" "Can you meet me somewhere private? I need to show you everything, but this isn't the kind of conversation we should have over the phone. There's a small coffee shop on 5th Street called Grind Coffee. Do you know it?" "Yeah, I know where that is." "Can you meet me there in 2 hours? And, Amy, bring your laptop. You're going to want to see these files for yourself." After we hang up, I spend the next hour crafting the perfect presentation. This isn't just about showing her financial documents. This is psychological warfare. I know Amy's weaknesses from our months in business ethics class together. She's desperate for her father's approval, absolutely terrified of disappointing her family, and she has an overdeveloped sense of justice that makes her physically ill when she encounters unfairness. The coffee shop is nearly empty when Amy arrives, looking pale and anxious. She's wearing one of her usual designer outfits, the same Chanel jacket she wore to class every Tuesday, her armour against feeling inferior to all the other rich kids at our university. This better not be some kind of elaborate joke, Emily, because if you're messing with me about something this serious... I open my laptop and turn the screen toward her. I wish it were a joke. I really, really wish it were. For the next 45 minutes, I walk her through everything methodically. Every fraudulent transaction, every forged document, every piece of evidence that proves both our fathers are running an elaborate investment scam. Her face grows progressively paler with each revelation, and by the time I show her the final bank transfer, she looks like she might throw up. "Oh my God," she whispers, staring at a transfer receipt showing her father moving $200,000 from a client's retirement account directly into his personal savings. "This is from Mrs. Patterson's account. She's my mom's best friend from church. She trusted my dad with her entire retirement fund. There's more, Amy, much more. They've stolen over $2 million from at least 15 different clients over the past 3 years. The FBI is going to find out eventually. These kinds of Ponzi schemes always collapse when they run out of new investors to pay the old ones. This can't be happening. This can't be real. But here's the thing. If we act first, if we move quickly enough, maybe we can minimize the damage. What if we could get all the stolen money returned to the victims before the authorities catch on? Our dads would be financially ruined, but they wouldn't go to federal prison." Amy looks up at me with desperate hope in her eyes. "How would that even be possible?" I lean forward, lowering my voice to barely above a whisper. "Your dad has access to your mum's trust fund, right? The inheritance from your grandmother?" Amy nods slowly. "It's worth about $3 million, but he'd never touch that money. It's supposed to be for my college expenses and my future wedding. He will if he thinks it's the only way to avoid spending 20 years in federal prison. And my father has plenty of assets he can liquidate. The boat, the vacation house in Aspen, Sarah's ridiculous car collection. We just need to convince them that someone's already onto their scheme, that they need to return every stolen dollar immediately before they get arrested." "This is absolutely insane, Emily." "Amy, your father is going to get caught, with or without our intervention. The only question is whether it happens in 6 months when the FBI raids his office and arrests him on live television, or whether it happens quietly with him voluntarily returning the money and accepting bankruptcy instead of prison." She's crying now, mascara running down her cheeks, but I can see the wheels turning in her head. She's smart enough to understand that I'm offering her the lesser of two evils. "What exactly do you need me to do?" "Call your father right now. Tell him you've been getting strange phone calls from people asking about their investments with Morrison Chen Financial. Tell him the callers sounded angry and mentioned involving lawyers. Make him panic. I'll handle the situation with my dad." Amy wipes her eyes and nods shakily. "And you really think this will work?" "Fear is the most powerful motivator in the world, Amy. Right now, your father thinks he's gotten away with the perfect crime. But once he realizes someone's investigating, his survival instincts will kick in. He'll do whatever it takes to protect himself and your family." After Amy leaves, looking completely shell-shocked, I check my phone. 3 new texts from Mum. "Still shopping with Sarah. She found the perfect dress. Might be late tonight." Followed by, "Don't wait up for dinner. We're eating at that new Italian place downtown." And finally, "Hope you're feeling better, sweetie." I laugh out loud, earning concerned stares from the other coffee shop customers. They're not even trying to hide their priorities anymore. Their daughter just had potentially life-threatening surgery, and they're treating it like a minor inconvenience that's interfering with their precious princess's shopping extravaganza. But their continued absence actually gives me the perfect opportunity to implement phase 3 of my plan. I call our family lawyer, James Mitchell. He's been handling our legal affairs for over a decade, and more importantly, he's always had a genuine soft spot for me. Unlike my parents, he actually remembers my birthday and asks about my grades. "Emily, I heard about your surgery from your mother. How are you feeling, sweetheart?" "Much better. Thank you for asking, Mr. Mitchell. Actually, that's kind of why I'm calling. I need to ask you about something confidential, and I'm not sure who else I can trust with this." "Of course, anything. What's troubling you?" "It's about my father's business practices. Mr. Mitchell, I think he might be doing something illegal, and I'm scared." The line goes completely silent for several long seconds. When he speaks again, his voice is much more serious. "Emily, that's a very serious accusation. What exactly makes you think your father is involved in illegal activities?" "I've been helping with bookkeeping for the business, just basic data entry during my summer breaks. But I found some documents that don't make sense. Bank transfers that don't match the client files, investment portfolios that show returns on stocks that don't actually exist, money being moved between accounts in ways that seem wrong." "Have you spoken to your father about these concerns?" "I tried to, but he just brushed me off and said I didn't understand how complex business accounting works. But, Mr. Mitchell, I'm not stupid. I'm majoring in finance, and I know what legitimate business transactions look like." "What kind of documentation are we talking about, Emily?" "I can email you copies of everything I found, but, Mr. Mitchell, I need to know, if I report this to the authorities, what happens to me, to my college fund, to our house?" Another long pause. "If your father is indeed involved in financial crimes, all assets connected to the illegal activity would be frozen during the investigation. If he were to be convicted, the government would seize most assets to pay restitution to any victims." My voice cracks perfectly. "Including my college fund, the money I've been saving from my part-time jobs. If those funds are in accounts connected to the fraudulent activity, then yes. I'm so sorry, Emily, but you could potentially lose everything. What should I do? I can't just ignore this, but I'm terrified of destroying my family. Send me everything you found. Let me review the documents first before we decide on the best course of action. And Emily, you're doing the right thing by coming forward. That takes incredible courage." After I hang up, I sit back in my chair and smile with deep satisfaction. Mr. Mitchell is ethical to an absolute fault. He'll file a report with the appropriate authorities within 24 hours. But first, he'll try to contact my father to give him a chance to explain the discrepancies. The trap is set, and it's absolutely perfect. 20 minutes later, my phone rings. It's Dad, and he sounds completely frantic. "Emily, I need you to come home right now. We have a serious family emergency." "What kind of emergency?" "Dad, I'm still recovering from major surgery. I can barely walk without getting dizzy." "James Mitchell just called me. He says you've been making accusations about my business, that you've been going through confidential files. Emily, what the hell have you been saying to people?" I let my voice crack with just the right amount of fear and confusion. "Daddy, I'm scared. I found all these documents that didn't make sense, and then Amy Chen called me crying because her father's been acting really strange lately, and I didn't know what else to do. I thought maybe Mr. Mitchell could help explain why the numbers didn't add up properly." "What specific documents are you talking about?" "The ones from the offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, and the fake investment portfolios showing returns on companies that don't actually exist. Daddy, please, tell me there's a reasonable explanation for all of this. Please tell me you're not stealing money from innocent people who trusted you." The silence stretches so long, I genuinely think he's hung up the phone. When he finally speaks, his voice is barely above a whisper. "Come home immediately. Don't talk to anyone else about this. Don't make any more phone calls. Don't send any more emails. Do you understand me?" "I understand, Daddy." But what he doesn't understand is that I've already talked to everyone I need to. The dominoes are falling in exactly the sequence I planned, and there's absolutely nothing he can do to stop the avalanche that's about to bury his perfect life. As I call my Uber, I check Sarah's Instagram one final time. She's posted 23 new photos from her extended birthday shopping celebration. In the most recent one, she's wearing a diamond tennis bracelet that probably costs more than most people's annual salary, with the caption, "When your parents love you this much, day 2 of birthday shopping and they're still spoiling me rotten. Hash blessed hash, daddy's girl hash, living my best life hash, no limit credit. Living her best life with no limit credit. We'll see about that." By tonight, both our fathers will be scrambling desperately to cover their tracks, liquidating every asset they can get their hands on, and preparing for the legal battle of their lives. Amy will be convincing her mother to temporarily loan them money from her inheritance trust fund. Mr. Mitchell will be filing detailed reports with federal authorities. And I'll be sitting in my childhood bedroom, looking like the innocent victim who accidentally uncovered her father's crimes while trying to help with simple bookkeeping tasks. Sometimes, the most devastating revenge is simply telling the truth at exactly the right moment to exactly the right people. The Uber pulls up outside the coffee shop, and I gather my belongings. Time to go home and watch my parents' perfect world crumble in real time. This is going to be even more satisfying than I ever imagined. The Uber ride home feels like the calm before a hurricane. I can practically feel the chaos that's about to erupt, and I'm savouring every second of anticipation. When I walk through our front door, the house feels different, charged with an energy that wasn't there yesterday. Dad is pacing in his office, phone pressed to his ear, his usually perfect hair dishevelled. Through the glass doors, I can see financial documents scattered across his mahogany desk like fallen leaves. Mum and Sarah are nowhere to be seen, probably still at the mall, blissfully unaware that their credit cards are useless pieces of plastic. I make my way upstairs quietly, but Dad spots me and gestures frantically for me to come into his office. I take my time, moving slowly like someone who's still recovering from surgery. "Emily, sit down. We need to talk." I settle into the leather chair across from his desk, noticing the sweat beading on his forehead. "Dad, you look terrible. Are you feeling okay?" I've been on the phone with the bank for 3 hours. They're saying someone reported fraudulent activity on all our accounts. "Emily, I need you to tell me exactly what you found in those files." I tilt my head, feigning confusion. "Which files specifically? I've been helping with so many different projects." "Don't play games with me." His voice cracks with desperation. "The offshore accounts, the investment portfolios. What exactly did you see?" "Oh, those files." I pause, letting him sweat. "Well, I saw bank transfers to accounts in the Cayman Islands that didn't match any of the client investment records. And there were these portfolio statements showing huge returns on companies that I couldn't find any information about online." Dad's face goes completely white. "Emily, those are complex business structures that you don't understand. International investments have different reporting requirements." "Dad, I looked up every single company listed in those portfolios. Half of them don't exist. The other half went bankrupt years ago." The silence in the room is deafening. Dad slumps into his chair like all of the air has been sucked out of him. "How long have you known?" "I started noticing inconsistencies about 6 months ago, but I thought I was just making mistakes. It wasn't until I cross-referenced everything with the client files that I realised what was really happening. His phone rings and he looks at the caller ID before declining the call. That's the 4th time David has called in the past hour. Maybe you should answer it. He's probably wondering why his daughter called him crying about federal investigations. Dad's head snaps up. What did you say? Amy called me this morning. She said someone contacted her asking about her father's business practices. She was really upset, so I told her about the irregularities I found. I thought she should know in case the problems affect both companies. Emily, what have you done? Before I can answer, the house phone rings. Dad looks at the caller ID, and his face somehow manages to get even paler. It's James Mitchell. You should probably take that call, Dad. He answers with a shaking hand. James, hello. Yes, Emily told me she spoke with you. What? No, I can explain everything. Tonight? James, surely this can wait until tomorrow. I understand. He hangs up and stares at me like I'm a stranger. He wants to meet tonight. He's bringing someone from the district attorney's office. That sounds serious. Emily, I need you to understand something. If this goes badly, we could lose everything. The house, the cars, your college fund, everything. I lean forward, my eyes wide with fake concern. But Dad, if you haven't done anything wrong, why would we lose anything? It's complicated. Sometimes innocent people get caught up in investigations and assets get frozen while everything gets sorted out. How long does that usually take? Years, sometimes decades. I let that sink in for a moment. So Sarah's trust fund could be frozen too. Her car payments, her credit cards, everything. Dad nods miserably. Everything. Perfect. Dad, what can I do to help? I don't want our family to be destroyed because I misunderstood some paperwork. It's too late for that now. James has already filed preliminary reports. The investigation is going to happen whether we want it to or not. Just then, I hear the front door slam shut, followed by Sarah's voice echoing through the house. Daddy, the most awful thing happened. My credit card got declined at Nordstrom. It was so embarrassing. The sales associate acted like I was some kind of criminal. Mum's voice joins in. Richard, we need to talk. None of our cards are working, and the bank is saying there's some kind of fraud investigation. What is going on? Dad closes his eyes and takes a deep breath. Emily, go to your room. Don't come downstairs until I tell you to. I stand up slowly, still playing the part of the recovering surgery patient. Dad, I'm really sorry if I caused problems. I was just trying to help. I know, sweetheart. This isn't your fault. But as I head upstairs, I can hear the beginning of what's about to be the most explosive family fight in Morrison family history. Richard Morrison, you better explain to me right now why I was humiliated at lunch today when my card got declined in front of all my friends. Sarah, please lower your voice. Don't tell me to lower my voice. Do you have any idea how mortifying it was? Jennifer's mother had to pay for my meal. I pause at the top of the stairs, listening as Dad tries to explain the situation without actually explaining anything. But Sarah isn't buying his vague excuses about banking errors and temporary freezes. This is ridiculous. Call the bank right now and fix it. I have 3 more shopping appointments today and then dinner reservations at Le Bernardin. Sarah, the reservations might need to be cancelled. Cancelled? Daddy, it's still my birthday week. You promised me anything I wanted. Mum's voice cuts through Sarah's tantrum. Richard, what exactly is going on? And why does Emily know more about our financial situation than I do? From my bedroom, I open my laptop and check the news. Nothing yet, but I know that will change soon. Financial investigations always leak to the press within a few days, especially when they involve prominent businessmen. My phone buzzes with a text from Amy. I talked to my dad. He's freaking out. He asked me about my mum's trust fund. I think this is really happening. I text back, stay strong. We're doing the right thing. Another text comes in, this one from a number I don't recognise. Is this Emily Morrison? This is Detective Sarah Chen from the Financial Crimes Unit. We'd like to speak with you about your father's business practices. Can you come to the station tomorrow morning? Detective Sarah Chen. What are the odds that the detective investigating my father has the same first name as my sister? The universe has a twisted sense of humour. I text back, yes, I can be there. What time? 10 a.m, ask for Detective Chen at the front desk. The shouting downstairs is getting louder. I can hear Sarah sobbing dramatically about her ruined birthday week, and Mum demanding answers that Dad clearly can't give without incriminating himself. Then I hear something that makes me smile. The sound of Dad's office door slamming shut, followed by the distinct click of the lock. He's probably calling David, trying to coordinate their stories before the lawyers arrive. But it's too late for damage control. The avalanche has already started, and there's no stopping it now. I pull up my laptop and start typing an email to Detective Chen, attaching copies of all the financial documents I've collected. Not because she needs them. I'm sure the FBI already has enough evidence to convict both Dad and David 10 times over, but because I want her to know that I'm being fully cooperative, that I'm the innocent daughter who stumbled upon her father's crimes and immediately tried to do the right thing. An hour later, I hear car doors slamming in the driveway. Through my bedroom window, I can see James Mitchell walking up to our front door with a woman in a dark suit who's definitely not from his law firm. The doorbell rings and the shouting downstairs stops abruptly. I hear Dad's footsteps on the marble floor, then the sound of formal introductions and serious voices. After 30 minutes, there's a knock on my bedroom door. Emily, can you come downstairs, please? There are some people who want to talk to you. I make my way down slowly, still playing up the post-surgery weakness. In the living room, Dad is sitting on the couch, looking like he's aged 10 years in the past 6 hours. Mum and Sarah are nowhere to be seen, probably banished to the kitchen while the adults handle business. James Mitchell stands when I enter, his face grave but kind. Emily, this is Assistant District Attorney Rebecca Walsh. She has some questions about the documents you found. Miss Walsh is younger than I expected, probably in her early 30s, with sharp eyes that miss nothing. Miss Morrison, I understand you've been helping with your father's bookkeeping? Yes, ma'am. Just basic data entry during summer breaks. Filing invoices, updating client information, things like that. And during this work, you noticed some irregularities? Yes, at first I thought I was making mistakes, but when I tried to verify some of the investment information, I couldn't find any record of the companies or the returns they were supposedly generating. Dad is staring at his hands, not meeting anyone's eyes. Miss Morrison, are you aware that financial fraud is a federal crime? Yes, ma'am. That's why I called Mr. Mitchell. I didn't know what else to do. You did exactly the right thing. Your cooperation is going to be very important in this investigation. She stands and hands me a business card. We'll need you to come to the station tomorrow morning to give a formal statement. Can you be there at 10 a.m? Yes, I'll be there. After they leave, the house falls into a heavy silence. Dad hasn't moved from the couch, and I can hear Mom and Sarah whispering urgently in the kitchen. Finally, Dad looks up at me. Emily, do you understand what's going to happen now? You're going to be investigated for financial crimes. We're all going to be investigated. Our entire family. They're going to go through every bank account, every purchase, every transaction for the past decade. They're going to assume that all of us knew what was happening. But I didn't know, and Mum and Sarah definitely didn't know. That doesn't matter. In cases like this, Families lose everything while they try to prove their innocence. I sit down across from him, maintaining eye contact. Dad, how much money did you steal? He flinches at the word steal. It wasn't stealing, Emily. It was complicated financial structuring that got out of hand. How much? Including David's portion, about $2.8 million. And how much do we have in legitimate assets? After they freeze everything, maybe enough to rent a small apartment and buy groceries for a few months. I let that sink in. Sarah's monthly shopping budget is more than most people's rent. The idea of her living in a small apartment and shopping for groceries instead of designer clothes is almost too delicious to imagine. What about Sarah's trust fund? They'll freeze that too, pending investigation. So no more shopping sprees, no more expensive restaurants, no more designer everything. Dad nods slowly. Emily, I know this is a lot to process, but I need you to understand that tomorrow, when you talk to the police, everything you say matters, not just for me, but for our entire family. I lean forward, my voice soft and earnest. Dad, I'll tell them exactly what I found and exactly when I found it. I'll tell them the truth. That's all I can ask for. But what he doesn't realise is that my truth is going to destroy him completely. Because while I'll be honest about finding the documents and reporting them to authorities, I'll conveniently forget to mention that I've been planning this moment for months. Tomorrow, I become the star witness in the case that will send my father to federal prison and reduce my family to financial ruin. And I can hardly wait. The next morning, I wake up to the sound of Sarah screaming, "What do you mean it's been repossessed?" I look out my bedroom window and see our driveway, completely empty except for Mum's old Honda that she hasn't driven in 3 years. Sarah's pink Maserati, Dad's BMW, and Mum's Mercedes are all gone. Apparently, the repo men work early. I get dressed carefully, choosing a conservative outfit that makes me look younger and more innocent. Today's performance at the police station needs to be flawless. Downstairs, the scene is pure chaos. Sarah is standing in the driveway in her silk pajamas, sobbing hysterically at the empty space where her car used to be. Mom is on the phone with someone, probably the bank, her voice shrill with panic. What do you mean all our accounts are frozen? We have bills to pay. We have a mortgage. Dad emerges from his office looking like he hasn't slept in weeks. Emily, I'll drive you to the police station. With what car? Sarah shrieks from the driveway. They took everything. We still have your mother's Honda. I am not riding in that ancient piece of junk. Call me an Uber. Sarah, we can't afford... Dad starts, then stops himself. The cards aren't working, remember? The reality is finally sinking in. No cars, no credit cards, no access to their accounts. For the first time in her spoiled life, Sarah is experiencing what normal people call financial constraints. Mum hangs up the phone, her face pale. Richard, they've frozen everything. Every account, every credit line, even the business checking account. How are we supposed to live? We'll figure it out, Dad says weakly. I clear my throat. Actually, I have some money saved from my part-time jobs. It's not much, but I could help with groceries. They all turn to look at me like I've just offered to donate a kidney. The forgotten daughter, who they abandoned during surgery, is now their only financial lifeline. The irony is absolutely perfect. An hour later, Dad and I are sitting in the Honda, which smells like it hasn't been driven since 2019, heading to the police station. The silence is suffocating. Emily, I need you to understand something, Dad finally says. When you talk to the detective today, every word matters, not just for me, but for all of us. I know, Dad. I'll tell the truth. Sometimes the truth can be interpreted different ways. If they ask about your knowledge of the business operations, remember that you were just doing basic filing. You didn't understand the complexity of international finance. I nod solemnly. I'll make sure they understand that I was just a college student helping with simple tasks. Detective Chen is exactly what I expected. Sharp, professional, and completely focused. She leads me into a small interview room with grey walls and a recording device. Miss Morrison, thank you for coming in. I know this must be difficult for you. I just want to do the right thing. Can you tell me how you first became aware of irregularities in your father's business? For the next 2 hours, I give the performance of my lifetime. I'm the innocent daughter who stumbled across evidence of her father's crimes while doing basic bookkeeping. I'm cooperative, helpful, and completely devastated by the discovery that my own father is a criminal. Miss Morrison, one more question. When did you first suspect that your father might be involved in illegal activities? This is my moment, the question I've been waiting for. Detective Chen, I need to tell you something that I haven't told anyone else. She leans forward. What is it? I've suspected something was wrong for almost a year, but I tried to convince myself I was mistaken. My father, he's not a good man. He's never cared about anyone except my sister, Sarah. When I had surgery 2 days ago, he chose to attend her birthday party instead of being with me at the hospital. That must have been very painful for you. It was, but lying in that hospital bed, I realised that I couldn't keep protecting him anymore. If he's stealing money from innocent people, they deserve justice, even if it means destroying my family. Detective Chen nods approvingly. That took a lot of courage, Emily. Your cooperation is going to help us recover millions of dollars for the victims. When we finish, she walks me to the lobby where Dad is waiting. His face is anxious, searching mine for clues about how the interview went. How did it go, sweetheart? Fine. I told them exactly what I found and when I found it. On the drive home, he keeps glancing at me nervously. Emily, what else did you tell them? Just the truth, Dad. Isn't that what you wanted? When we get home, there's a news van parked across the street. A reporter with perfectly styled hair is setting up in front of our house. Oh, God, Dad whispers. It's starting. Inside, Mum and Sarah are watching the local news. Sarah's face is blotchy from crying, and Mum looks like she's aged 10 years overnight. Federal investigation into Morrison Luxury Motors and its owner, Richard Morrison, who is alleged to have defrauded clients out of nearly $3 million. Sarah mutes the TV and turns to Dad. Daddy, please tell me this is all a mistake. Please tell me we're going to get our money back and everything will go back to normal. Dad sits down heavily on the couch. Sarah, I need you to understand that our lives are going to be very different from now on. What do you mean, different? I mean, we're going to lose the house. We're going to lose everything. Sarah stares at him for a long moment, then starts laughing hysterically. You're joking, right? This is some kind of elaborate prank. I wish it were. The laughter turns into screaming. I have a life. I have plans. I'm supposed to go to Europe next month with Jennifer. I'm supposed to start law school in the fall. You promised me that money would always be there. Sarah, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. You've ruined everything, everything. She storms upstairs, and a few seconds later, we hear her bedroom door slam so hard it shakes the house. Mum turns to Dad with tears in her eyes. Richard, how could you do this to us? How could you risk our family for money? I was trying to give you the life you deserved. You and Sarah, you both wanted so much, and I just wanted to make you happy. And what about Emily? Mum asked quietly. What about making her happy? The question hangs in the air like a loaded gun. Dad looks at me, then at Mum, then back at me. Emily never asked for anything. he says finally. Because you never gave her the chance, Mum replies. Do you realise that our daughter had surgery 2 days ago and we weren't even there? We chose shopping over our child's surgery. I watch this conversation with fascination. It's like watching my parents discover that they have another daughter for the first time in 21 years. Mum, it's okay, I say softly. I understand why Sarah's birthday was more important. No, it's not okay, Mum says, and for the first time in my life, she looks at me like she really sees me. Emily, I owe you an apology. We've been terrible parents to you. 2 days ago, this admission might have meant something to me, but now it just feels hollow. My phone buzzes with a text from Amy. It's done. My dad confessed everything to the FBI. He's going to plead guilty and cooperate with the investigation. I text back, how are you holding up? Strangely relieved. It's finally over. But she's wrong. It's not over. This is just the beginning. Over the next 3 weeks, I watch my family's world collapse in real time. The house goes up for sale. Sarah has to drop out of law school because her tuition money is frozen. Mum takes a job at a grocery store, her first job in 25 years. And through it all, I'm the perfect daughter. I help with bills using my savings. I drive Mum to work in the Honda. I listen to Sarah cry about how unfair life is. But the best part, the absolute most satisfying part, it happens exactly 1 month after my surgery. I'm sitting in our new apartment, a cramped 2-bedroom place that costs more per month than Sarah used to spend on shoes. When there's a knock at the door, it's Detective Chen, and she's smiling. Emily, I have some good news. We've recovered almost all of the stolen money and the victims are being repaid. Your father's cooperation and your testimony were instrumental in making that happen. That's wonderful. I'm so glad the victims are getting their money back. There's something else. Because you were the whistleblower who brought this case to light, you're entitled to a reward from the state's Whistleblower Protection Fund. She hands me an envelope. It's not a fortune, but it should help with your college expenses. After she leaves, I open the envelope. Inside is a check for $150,000. I stare at the check for a long time, then walk to Sarah's room. She's lying on her bed, scrolling through Instagram and crying because she can't afford the lifestyle she sees her friends posting. Sarah? She looks up, her eyes red and puffy. What? I hold up the check. I got a reward for exposing Dad's crimes. Her eyes widen. How much? Enough to pay for my entire college education and then some. Emily, could you maybe help me with law school tuition? I'll pay you back, I promise. I pretend to consider it. I don't think so, Sarah. You see, I've learned something important about our family. Love is conditional. Money talks louder than family. Some children matter more than others. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that you've never once asked me how I'm feeling after my surgery. I'm talking about the fact that Mum and Dad abandoned me in the hospital for your birthday party. I'm talking about 21 years of being invisible in my own family. Sarah's face goes pale. Emily, But here's the thing, Sarah. I forgive you. All of you. Because watching you lose everything you took for granted, watching you realise that Daddy's money can't solve every problem, watching you learn what it feels like to be forgotten and overlooked. I smile at her, the same sweet smile I've been giving my family my whole life. That's been worth more than any college fund. As I walk away, I hear Sarah calling after me, but I don't turn around. I have a future to plan, and for the first time in my life, it's a future where I matter. They taught me that love is conditional, that some children matter more than others, and that money talks louder than family. Well, I learned those lessons better than they ever imagined I would. And now, as I sit here with my whistleblower reward and my full scholarship to law school, because apparently having a criminal father makes you a very sympathetic scholarship candidate. I can't help but smile. They left me dying alone for her birthday party. But after my rebirth in that hospital room, I made sure they'd never be able to afford to celebrate anything ever again. The forgotten daughter became unforgettable. And the best part, they still think it was all just an unfortunate accident.